out there. But like, I think for me, the thing that I want to drive home about not just the Kochs, but also the entire kind of libertarian ideological apparatus, including the legacy of Murray Rothbard, who really, again, I think deserves a closer look as an influence on contemporary politics. But like, it's just how much closer these people and the right are at achieving their goals than I think we've ever seen in our lifetime.
Yeah, and I think that like my take on it is that like their sort of like long march through the institutions or creating the institutions, whatever, it has been pretty effective. And like what'll probably happen is that like this stuff will just continue to diffuse and continue to get more and more like ingrained into the fabric of society. And I think there's this like weird feeling on the left or something that like, the left is like in competition with these people, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, motherfucker, there's no competition. You know, this is like a guy who runs, not even high school track, fucking middle school track, saying he's competing with that really fast guy, who killed his wife. I can't remember his name. Oscar Pistorius. He was a runner, right? I assume so. You didn't correct me, so yeah. There is no
throwback.
There is no competition here. And like, it's like, people have to get out of the mindset like, oh, these are just like, oh, they're so funny. Like, oh, libertarians are cool. Oh, what, age of consent? And like, yeah, they don't believe in the age of consent. Like, that is the least of your worries with them.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a real thing. And like the sort of the red pill here is that like, that's a real thing and you aren't. Like, they are closer to getting whatever they want than you are even within at all of Medicare for all, let alone state power. You know? And like, there is, I mean, I'm not a hater, man. I'm just saying, like, it's you gotta get real. You gotta get real with yourself. You can't live in this fucking fantasy land where not only are these people not winning, but somehow you are. You know? And once you get past that, then you can start working. Then you can start thinking. But like, once you're still in this thing where it's like, oh, you know, like I'm in competition, it's like, no, dude, it's their fucking world. They won. They are winning. And like, the sooner you can see that, sort of the sooner that you can see past that. But if you can't, then you're fucked.
I think it's really important for people on the left to understand the like hegemonic power of these ideas,
Yeah.
and how successful the right has been, not at just even getting these ideas out there, but as we kind of have tried to illustrate, like reframing almost every and all political discussion in their terms.
Well,
right?
I think people on the left like to point to the fact that like the post office is popular, or like that Medicare for all is like a popular idea among some Democrats or whatever. But it's like, okay, fine. Like maybe these specific issues, like some people who respond to opinion polls like them. But like really the whole, like you're missing the whole landscape, which like the Kochs and people like them, not just them, but people like them have totally remade. And like by focusing on these like hyper specific things, well, look, I really hate it when like Bernie Sanders says like, oh, we're winning the ideological war, or winning the war of ideas. Well, fuck, that's wonderful. That's the best way to win a war, is by ideas. In fact, traditionally, that's how all wars have been won, by just having the best ideas. It's like, no, wrong, motherfucker. Like, you are, first of all, you're not even winning the war of ideas. You're losing them. If you were winning the war of ideas, you'd be winning the regular war, or at least be doing a lot better than you are. And like, that's what's so crazy to me. It's like, no, dude, they're winning the war of ideas. and the regular war. Like, this is, even many people on the left have like, I mean, I'm not saying that people on the left are like Koch people or whatever, but have taken up this, like, I mean, think about this, Liz. You try to get, like, think of the rigid ideological discipline displayed by a lot of the people in the Koch universe, right? Could you imagine any, like, given, like, little socialist groupsicle in America adhering to the same kind of discipline and the same kind of seriousness and the same kind of devotion? No. Right? Of course not. And like, and that's the thing is there's this, like, there's this wrong-headed idea, right? That, like, well, because our cause is just, that affords us all of these spiritual back, you know, the angels are at our backs or whatever. Wrong, motherfucker. They aren't. Like, I'm not saying this to be a downer to nobody, but this is plainly obvious what is happening. And like they have cadre. We don't have cadre, if that makes sense to anybody. Like, they have people who are willing. I guarantee you put up, even adjusted for how many of each there are, you put up any given 100 libertarians in a room and ask them how many would die for what they believe in, and any 100 given, like, left-wingers or whatever, maybe some people would answer yes on both sides, but I have a feeling the libertarian side would actually do it. Because if you're a left-winger and you're willing to die for whatever's going on right now, but boy, you must have some really bad depression, right? Because there isn't something to die for, or to live for, whatever, however you want to say it. And, like, that's one of the things I think people can't get their heads around, is it doesn't seem real. It doesn't seem serious. And I think it's probably because, like, unlike these other people who have been on the march, on the move, you know, since the 70s, look what happened to the New Left. They even won against the New Left. All the New Left motherfuckers became stockbrokers. Even, like, those big yippie dudes. One of them literally became a libertarian. You know, because that's the seed in that was in there all along, but don't get me started on that. I'm just astounded at this idea that people are like, well, you know, the Bernie campaign was a big loss, but, you know, we'll get back on our feet. Like, blah, blah. What are you gonna do next, dude? Are you gonna wait for that? Are you gonna wait for President AOC? Fuck off. Get out of here. Not happening. And it's not happening for a variety of reasons, very few of which I'll elaborate here, but you can probably get what's going through my head on that. Actually, I will elaborate some of those. Totally different things going on there. You think AOC would pick your side over the Democratic Party side? Bullshit. Bull fucking shit, especially in whatever, she looks like a very young woman, maybe 20, 54 or whatever, when she's eligible to run for president. That was a compliment. Little bit of sweet, little bit of sour. What I don't get here is, like, whoa, man, like, how are you gonna get serious? Because these people are serious, and they've been serious for a long time, and they've been winning for a long time. You couldn't even get serious when your guy ran for president twice. It was just repeating these aphorisms and maxims and all these things over and over and over again. It's like a religion, but you don't even get to heaven. At least if you die, God is real. You get to heaven, you know? It's angels actually exist and will hang out with you and let me go up and play harp with them. With this thing that's going on, there is no heaven. There's just this sort of, like, vague promise of maybe we have Medicare for all. These other people want to overthrow the state, and they are serious about it. And they want to overthrow it by any means. You know, it's not very, they're dogmatic in some ways, but very malleable in others. And it's like, you have a lot of people saying, like, oh, Lenin this, Lenin that, Lenin. You have no idea. You are nowhere close to what he's talking about. And that is really what I'm saying here, is that, like, this should mark a turning point right now of, like, people on the left being like, oh, wow, we really, you know, we did something that really did not work. We should probably recalibrate. But guess what? Here's the problems with that. There is no vehicle for that. There is no, like, left-wing heritage foundation. I'm not talking about, like, a left-wing fucking think tank. I'm talking about, like, an actual ideological center. There isn't one. There isn't even any sort of apparatus to make any of the decisions that I'm talking about that would need to be made. Because you know why? Because our so-called socialist, quote, in parentheses there, neo-libertarians that you fucking see at all these little meetings here. Actually, you know what? Like, socialism is what I get what I want, blah, blah, blah. And like, I'm this and I'm that. No, fuck off. Like, this is, everybody thinks for some reason that they're the star of socialism. Anyways, I'm getting off track there. There is no apparatus, there is no party, there is no organization, and unless like you think for some reason America is so unique that is the only country that you could overthrow the government without any sort of organization, which by the way, a lot of you fucking do, even if you won't admit that, unless you think America is so special and so unique and so blah 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 that can happen. Well, if you believe that, brother, then I got nothing to say to you. But if you don't believe that, if you think that maybe things aren't working, maybe it's time to try something new, well, buddy, where do you see the Belden Program?